Well, hi everyone. And tonight is New Year's Eve, and we are going downtown here in Oulu to see what people are up to in a couple of hours. And before that, we decided that it would be interesting to make a sort of recap on on the most interesting moments of 2017. And would you like to explain what we will be doing downtown when we get
Yeah, we'll be live streaming on Swan's Finnish channel at around 11:30 Finnish time. Convert that time with some tool. I cannot. 11:30 Finnish time.
Yeah.
So that's 9:30 GMT, I think. We'll be streaming, and we'll be meeting a very special guy. We'll talk more about him as this show goes on.
Yeah, because he actually has something to do with one of the cool events we have listed over here.
Yeah, yesterday you were on red eyes. I was discriminated. I did not. It was only for.
It was only for white people.
Alt-right women, they are taking over this movement, and
yeah, it's only white women from now on. Only these thoughts.
These thoughts, they must be taken care of. But yeah, so yeah, Tuonen Joutsen is the channel. I'll be showing it when we end this current show.
Yeah, and they had a really great live stream. I think it lasted, I don't know, almost 8 hours, 7.5, something like that. And there were a lot of interesting guests. There were Jared Taylor, Millennial Woes, Richard Spencer.
Styx Hexenhammer 666 was maybe the best guy. Jim Goad was also quite cool. There was Emily Yukis. There were lots of great guys. And the part where Tina talked, I've almost subtitled it. I'll be
almost.
No, but it's true. It will be ready probably tomorrow.
Probably. No promises. Yeah, and Jukka made a super chat message of €2, extremely ferocious situation.
Äärimmäisen hurja tilanne, as we say in Finnish.
Yeah.
This year has been the year of new expressions. For example, that one. There's many, but they are in Finnish, so it's difficult to explain. But maybe one that is worth mentioning is skriimata, which is to scream, but in fact it means to live stream a hateful event or hate speech, and it's in the Urban Dictionary now in Finland. So yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of these new expressions among Finnish nationalists, they originate to the same guy who is Marko de Witt, and he is one of the leading figures in the Finland First movement, or the Finnish People First, as I think they now call it.
Yes, but he's a Dutch, he's a foreigner. He's an immigrant. How
he's an Uncle Tom like you are.
How is this possible?
Why is he siding with Finns?
Yeah, he should be asking money for them programs.
Yeah, and that guy has this very unique and humorous way of expressing himself, and a lot of things he says end up sounding pretty funny, even though he never means them to be funny. Like he has this inadvertent humor about him. So a lot of expressions in the Finnish nationalist scene come from him.
Yeah, and they have live streams almost every day where they talk about stuff. And the funny thing is that they get like 1,200 viewers every night. And I was watching yesterday's Red Eyes Live, and I noticed that there's maybe 1,300, 1,400 viewers at best. I thought that how is it possible that some random Finnish live streams get almost more than one of the biggest or the most well-known
alt-right channel.
Yeah, that's because you have to picture that in Finland we have 5 million speakers, so it's the audience is very limited compared to English-speaking channels. But yeah, that's how it is. When we do our Finnish live streams, we get like 700, so it's half of Red Eyes, and we have basically no advanced technology. We are just using Google Hangouts. So, but we maybe next year we'll get some really cool live streaming technology.
Yeah, somehow the Finnish nationalist scene on YouTube is just more lively, even though it's much more limited. That there's a much smaller potential audience, like 5 million people who speak Finnish, and still these Finnish live streams tend to get much more viewers than or the same amount as these much bigger nationalist channels that make their lives in English. For example, we watched a lot of these millennial broadcasts, and for some reason they ended up having pretty similar viewer accounts to our normal live streams in Finland. That people, I don't know, maybe it's just a Finnish thing that Finnish nationalists are very, very active like that. And of course, it's that we also have these leftists who follow all the nationalist channels, and there are people who are literally addicted to them. Leftist forums with thousands, literally thousands of pages of commenting on nationalist live streams and whatever nationalists are doing, not just their live streams, but whatever they do. Yeah, it's like a real-time commenting on these forums.
If you miss a nationalist live show, you can read the report on the left, the communist website. It's the forums. They explain everything. But the problem with them is that sometimes they insert lies in them, so you should not.
So you get some idea of what has happened, but you really need to double check before you believe anything they say.
But let's go on with the top 10, I think, or top 12 events that you have selected. So maybe I don't know if it is the most interesting, but yeah, we got into the city council this year. That's well, a great victory for our kind of political activists. I was the 67 persons were elected, and I was at position 19, and Swan was at position 30. So Tina got more than half of the other guys. There were 600 candidates, and we got in. So that was.
Yeah, and a lot of people kept saying that, and of course I knew that it's very difficult to get into city council from your own list, because we have several parties, and we use the don't method in counting votes. What is it in English? Americans have some other word for it.
I'm not sure, but it's Saint Lagu maybe or something. But yeah,
I think it's Jefferson method.
Yeah, the Jefferson method. And so there's the political system. I mentioned this to Millennial Woes when we were on his show, that the political system is such that it's very difficult to enter it, because they have created it 100 years ago, and it is such that you need to have lots of candidates on your own list or your own party. We were 2 against parties that had 100 100 candidates. The maximum was 100, and we were 2 on our list. So we needed to get much more votes than the others, and we won. So, and they are very pissed at this situation.
Yeah, because the votes are counted like that. These big parties that have full lists of candidates, 100 candidates in our hometown, it means that each one of them only has to get just over 10 votes for one of them to get through, get elected. But when there's just the two of us, we need to get that same amount of votes between us. And of course, I knew it was an uphill battle, but I thought it might just be possible. And I really wasn't interested in much in getting into this election, but I knew that for Junes alone, it would be too difficult, that it would be basically impossible for any person alone to get that much votes. But if there are two people on the list, it makes it easier for him to get elected too. And in the end, he got around 700 votes and I got around 600 votes, which is very much. And especially taking that I had just moved into Oulu. I was a completely new person in here, and still I got how would I say it? I was on spot 30 on the list of people who got the most votes, and there were over 600 candidates.
Yeah, so we've not selected, but we made, this was our election poster saying that being Finnish is richer than diversity, because they, as in other countries, they say diversity is our strength. We said that no, being Finnish is our strength. And here are pictures from the election campaign that we were.
How about that photo? Everyone kept asking, am I standing in a hole or something? Because people don't really realize it from these live streams where we are both seeing that how much taller you are than I. So, and some people said that they first looked that there was some child standing next to you, and then realized it was actually me.
Yeah, we are at the City Hall on our first. I think this was the first meeting. Yeah, so this is this is when we won. We were handed flowers. I don't know why, but they gave us flowers.
Yeah, but it was cool anyway.
Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, but that's pretty much that about the election. And one thing more that I'd like to say about that is that I was pretty suspicious to begin with. As I said, it's very difficult to compete with these big parties, especially in a big city, because in small villages it happens from time to time that people get elected from their own lists, but in bigger cities it simply doesn't happen. It's too difficult. But when we were campaigning, we were in the election village. It was open for 2 weeks before the election, and we had these little booths there, and people were able to come there and talk to us and have coffee. And I kept noticing that even though there were these booths by big parties there, ours tended to attract much more traffic. And then some people from other parties came to talk to us and told me in this pretty bitter tone that everyone who comes to their booth is simply saying they will vote for Tiina and Junes, so they're not interested. And the last moment when I realized that we actually stand a chance was the Suomi Ensin situation. So we had been frying sausages for people there, and of course all the other parties were at the same square, and we had booked the audio system at the square. So we made little speeches there, and afterwards one supporter of ours got on stage, and he asked the people to shout Suomi Ensin, Finland first. And when the entire square started shouting back, I realized that this square was full of nothing but our supporters. None of those people were there for the other parties, that they were all our supporters. And it was so funny to see the expressions on the faces of the Greens and the Social Democrats and the Leftist Party when they looked so bitter, standing there alone with nobody at their booth, and at least 100 people there in the square all supporting us.
Yeah, so also I had bought a license to play music because there's some copyrights for some reason. But so we held speeches, but also I played some music, and one of them was Frank Zappa's "Fuck Yourself," and it was directed to our opponents, and yeah, it was a good time. So that's maybe that's what is the second point we are mentioning this year. These are the highlights of this
the
year.
master being elected for chairman of the Finns party.
Yeah, so in Finland we have this party called the Finns Party, which used to be called the True Finns Party. In Finnish it's Perussuomalaiset. And in June there happened something weird. There's Jussi Halla-aho, who is currently a member of the European Parliament. He started as a blogger in 2006 or something, and in 2008 he got the police was interested in his writing, and he got sentenced for it, because in Finland, for some mysterious reasons, we have hate speech laws, so we are not allowed to say what we want. And it went on, he appealed, and in 2012 he was sentenced by the Supreme Court of Finland, and now 5 years later he's head of the party that he started in. And
so this is a good example of how far you can get, and we talked about this on the live stream with Millennial Woes on his Millennial series, that people who are already popular online, who have blogs and vlogs that people are interested in, they should get into politics. And
yeah.
Just see Jussi Halla-aho, he used to be just some nationalist blogger, and now he is the chairman of the Nationalist Party in Finland.
Yeah, and when he's in elections, he uses he has a zero budget. He doesn't spend any money. He's so popular, and this is due to his good writings and his good appearances on. He doesn't do so much YouTube stuff, but so here is the party meeting, or what is it in English? And so here he is when he was he got the biggest score, and on his left is the current presidential candidate for his party. So we are supporting her. I'm with her. And for example, on this right, there's the guy who got the second most, but he's a cock. Do not believe this guy. So this is the guy we are talking about, and he has renewed the party. The fat guy here is the guy who he replaced, and he's based. He doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, and the change in the party was pretty big, even though the members, of course, are the same as they used to be, and the supporters, but only the leadership changed, because earlier the party used to run with immigration themes, with nationalism, and with conservative Christian values, but they were basically like the Republican Party, that they had no real interest, these leaders, to enact any of the changes they promised before all elections. And people got sick of it. They lost faith in the party because of the bad leadership, and all bets were on this, or the stakes were high on this chairman election, because people knew that if they can get the nationalists in, they can change the entire party. That there already is this nationalist supporter base, they have voters, but the only thing they need is leadership with values that reflect the values of the supporters.
And so this new chairman that you saw before with his suit and all, this MEP, here is his Twitter account, and he's using as his profile picture a picture from the, I don't know, 80s or 90s, where he used to play guitar, I think. And so, and his latest retweet is about the probable Antifa attack on the presidential candidate's home, where they broke his or her windows. That was a great win to have the whole party renewed with a guy who is much better than the previous one.
And not just the chairman election. In the same election, the meeting, they chose also the vice chairman. And because the voting system is such that it's a simple majority vote, and they elect each chairman or vice chairman individually. Because the nationalists had a majority in that meeting, they were able to choose each and every candidate for their liking. So the vice chairman ended up being the Laura Huhtasaari, who is also the presidential candidate. Other vice chairmen were Juho Eerola, who has been on our Finnish podcast as a guest, Teuvo Hakkarainen. So they chose hardline nationalists for each of these positions. So there's no chance of the party cocking out anymore. So yeah, the nationalists made a good use of their majority in that meeting.
Yeah, but we have maybe 45 minutes left, so let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
The next one would be the Erkenbrand. Erkenbrand is the conference in the Netherlands, and we attended it, and here we are with Jared Taylor and two other guys. The guy here on the right is he's also doing live streams with us every Wednesday. Other pictures, well, we met also, of course, Millennial Woes, and here he is with Swan in Rotterdam. And
yeah, and we said something about this event a couple of days ago on our live stream. We explained that we met Jared Taylor and Millennial Woes, and that we ended up staying the night in the same place as they did. And someone in the comment section then asked, so you had a slumber party with Jared Taylor? And I said, well, that's not completely accurate, but that is how I am going to tell the story from now on.
This is all that is left from Jared.
Yeah, I actually think I have that in here. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So Fausto, if you see this, please forgive me. I couldn't help myself.
And, took a souvenir.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this Erkenbrand, we were also live streaming it, and we had a corner for our live stream. So here was Millennial Woes. You can this live stream, you can find it on this channel, and
it really was actually good luck too that we were there, because nobody else was able to live stream. The online connections there were just terrible, and we had to try 3 different connections before we found one that would work. And it was this shitty prepaid card that ended up working enough that we were able to live stream. And Red Eyes tried to live stream, but the connections were so terrible that they just didn't get enough bandwidth. So
here's one of the Red Eyes guys with Jared Taylor, and they could not make it work, but we were there to do what we have had to do. Well, what's next?
The next one, let's see. It's Stockholm with Red Eyes and Ramsey Paul and Millennial Woes.
Yeah, so in February we went to Stockholm. I don't know why did we go there? What what how did we get the idea of going there? It was
Yeah, so Lana from Red Eyes
Okay.
contacted me and asked me, okay, will you and US be coming to the Identitarian Ideas Conference? And I hadn't heard of such event before. And I asked her more about it. Then we considered it for a moment and decided that, yeah, we will be going there because it sounded interesting. And this Identitarian Ideas is a conference they hold every year somewhere in Stockholm. And it's usually in February. And I think they will have one this year too. At least I
Yep.
haven't heard that they won't have. And this was a very interesting event. Ramsey Paul was there talking millennial woes, as I said, and Lana made a great speech about women on the alt-right and what the right wing has to offer to women and such. So it was pretty fun. And after the event, we went to see the natives of Stockholm, which basically these days means Somalis. And it was pretty weird to experience it like that because the downtown in Stockholm, it's so nice. You have all this old architecture. It looks very Swedish. And then when you go to these migrant neighborhoods like Tensta or Rinkeby, they are just terrible. The windows are nailed shut. They have boards on their windows. They have bars on their windows. There are rats everywhere. That it doesn't even look like Sweden. I don't understand how these people have ruined the neighborhood so fast. They look like ghettos. That it's terrible. And the rats especially, they made me so nervous because I'm not used to that sort of stuff. I'm from Finland. We we live normally. We don't leave trash outside. So it made me so nervous that the rats were everywhere there. You could hear them squeaking all the time and you could see them running across the street.
Yeah, the rats of Rinkeby, they are not nice.
Yeah, and when we were leaving from there, we went through this underpass. And that underpass was filled with the beggars who were sleeping there. I guess they were Romanian or something like that, because Romania is where this beggar mafia usually comes from over here. And there were just people lying side by side in an underpass. It wasn't Swedish in any way. It was like a developing country.
Yeah. Yeah, the next thing I think
We have
is
Nordfront in Tampere.
yeah, so that was one of the biggest topics yesterday on Red Eyes, where when Henrik Palmgren asked about this, because Swan's point was that in Finland the nationalist movements are getting more together and they have more unity now. And so Henrik Palmgren said that yeah, but one of your movements was banned, and he asked, "Do you know anything about this?" And yeah, we knew, of course, about this because we were there. It was in October, October 30th. The court in Tampere, Finland, they banned this organization, which is the Nordic Resistance Movement. And on the 21st of October, they held a demonstration for free speech, and we went there to live stream it. And maybe I should show a video from it, because the Antifa was very. They had a massive outrage. They were very. They hate speech, so of course they have to.
And they were so very rude. We tried to record the or live stream the leftist demo in there. It was Tampere ilman natseja, which means Tampere without Nazis or something. And immediately when we showed up, we didn't even do anything. We never do anything. We simply live stream. We don't even take contact to these people. and they came and started shoving us around, and they broke Junes's camera stand, and these guys came and grabbed me and dragged me away from that demo. And it was funny to hear at the same time there was a speaker in their event who was talking about how important it is to say no to hate and all that, and these were the most hateful people I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's they were very so here is so this is the leftists event. There's mainstream left-wing parties that are holding a speech. So I just crossed the road and just look at what happens when they notice.
Yeah, and it was the same thing for me too, from these so-called tolerant good people. So they are saying no Nazis in Tampere, no Nazis anywhere. Now they start shoving Junes. They tell him to fuck off. Junes is saying, don't shove me in the street. And the next, now they are coming for me.
So what the fuck is this shit? And this goes on for this is the
and they told me interesting stuff. They called me a Nazi whore, and that these people who were supposedly against harassment against women and who claim that they are for safe spaces for women and respect for women, but for some reason they showed absolutely no respect for me, even though I did nothing against them. And then they said, go back to Oulu to build your Third Reich. I think that was pretty funny. And what else did they say? Go to your own protest. They meant that I should go to the Nude Front protest. But I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, I just need to show the.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we were leaving the Nude Front demo, these guys tried to attack us. They threw bombs at us. I don't know what sort of bombs they were. They made a loud noise and some smoke, and then they threw these red smoke bombs too. So these guys are basically like ISIS. I don't know what's the difference anymore. Guys wearing black in masks throwing bombs. Yeah, that's ISIS. But I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I just need to find it's hard to.
Yeah, and what was I saying? There was one point I was supposed to make. Yeah, and the cops always take the violence from these guys pretty lightly, that these guys were throwing bombs. I saw them throw one bomb straight at the feet of a police horse, so that the horse got very nervous and scared. And I hear that these anarchists had dragged one policewoman off her horse. But I don't think there were any arrests on site. And later on, the cops investigated the actions of the leftists as a violent riot. But what does it help at that point? Because all those people are gone. You have no way of recognizing who are who and who did what. So it was completely pointless. The cops should have just stopped the rioting there instead of just watching and hoping they calm down.
So here is something happening that yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact spot. So here I'm filming with I'm following the so these are the dangerous Nazis, but who are very peaceful, and they are yeah,
And that's how they. And I heard that from a friend that what they were exploding were some sort of military explosives that you used to guide artillery fire. And I don't know where they got them from. Maybe there was someone who had just been to the army and had stolen them from there.
Okay, and at that event was this guy. As you can see, the others here, they are the Nord Front, the Nordic Resistance. But this guy is wearing the Finnish an army suit,
Yeah.
and we will be meeting this guy in less than 2 hours.
Because he got in a lot of trouble for these photos. Of course, when these photos surfaced of a man in military outfit at the Nord Front protest, the mainstream media tried to make a huge deal about it. That I don't know what is varusmies.
Well, a private, a soldier.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to translate. But anyway, these soldiers, they aren't supposed to wear their military gear for demonstrations. And usually that rule hasn't been really followed, because there have been, for example, soldiers who have taken part in anti-racist demos and the Pride parade, and they didn't get any repercussions for it. But this guy actually received fines for wearing his military outfit, even though other people haven't been fined. So it's clearly simply because he's right wing. And if it had been some sort of a leftist demo, nobody would give a shit. But because he was in the Nord Front demo.
Yeah, there are guys that that wear the army suits and they go to gay pride. That's fine. But when the guy goes to a racist event, then it's very, very bad. Okay.
And next thing on our list is Finland 100. So I don't know if how bad that voice can be or noise can be heard on the live stream, but there are fireworks going off everywhere. That usually gets worse when you approach midnight on New Year's Eve. But I hope it's not too annoying. But anyway, this year Finland turned 100 years. So it's been 100 years since Finland became independent. And because of that, a lot of these different celebrations and campaigns were being held. There were Finland 100 products in stores, and a lot of it was pretty tacky. But there were also these nicer ways to remember it, like funding events for veterans of wars and things like that, these more stylish events. And we actually got invited to the big national Finland 100 celebration, which was held in our hometown. So it was basically sort of like the yearly presidential gala night, but it was held in our hometown, and the gala night is always at the presidential castle on Independence Day. And this was a few days before the Independence Day, so it was the 2nd of December. And this is a prime example of why it is good to get into politics. Because of course, if it was just us far-right bloggers, they would never invite us to anything like that, no matter how famous or popular we were. But because Junes is in the city council, they had to invite him, and he was able to bring +1. So of course we both went, and the president was there with his wife, and the prime minister was there. I saw the minister of sports and culture in there, and who else was in there? There were some artists, like the rap artist Paleface, this white Finnish, very conscious rap artist who makes this leftist music. And when he came to talk to Junes said, "Paleface, my nigger." And a lot of people, and we of course did a live stream from there. A lot of people who are watching that live stream, they literally asked, "Did Junes just tell Paleface, my nigger?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Junes got in trouble with the free booze. Just like Finns always have that. You shouldn't let Finns close to free booze. That never leads to anything good.
But it was not good booze.
Yeah, it was just some Finland 100 wine, and
bad wine.
They didn't even have beer. There
was no beer. I was like, what is this shit? But
and I wasn't really drinking, but I liked the snacks. I liked the pastries and everything, the little stuff they served there. I think the food was really good. But Junes, of course, got blind drunk in there.
No, just...
and ended up passing out, so that the staff at the location had to wake him up. By that time, I wasn't there anymore, so you cannot blame me for the state of him. And because I got tired and took an earlier bus home, Junes stayed there for a bit longer and decided to take another bus. And
Daniel Behm saying that Junes is always getting arrested, which tells you he's doing what he should be doing. But I want to point out that I was not arrested. I just had a short nap. No, nothing more.
And of course, the leftist forums, the leftists on their forums, they were so elated to watch that live stream, watch Junes pass out on his own live stream. Like, you could tell it that he started looking a bit sleepy at first, then he started falling, and in the end he disappeared from the shot. And the next thing you know, there's some person from the staff is coming to wake him up and saying that he's the last one there and that he needs to get up so that they can go home too.
It doesn't count. It's just... Anyways, almost nobody watched that live stream, so it doesn't count.
Almost nobody. I think there were, at least hundreds of people just watching the live stream.
Yeah, and most of the guys had upvoted the video. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and of course the leftists were furious at our language on the video. No other people in the party could hear what we were talking. We just sat there talking between us, just like usual, and it was captured on the live stream, but the other people in there didn't hear us. And this leftist forum had actually made this sort of contents list of that live stream, of all the parts in which Junes tells that somebody should be put into an oven. So who all were supposed to be ovened in there? I think you said that the former cultural minister Suvi Lindén.
Everybody. But the funniest was maybe the Asian woman.
Yeah. There was some sort of an Asian woman. I think she was Japanese or something. Her outfit looked Japanese.
Her dressing, she didn't follow the dressing code.
And Yuna said something that she came here in her like dressing gown. That what's wrong with these people that they just come here in the dressing gowns, and said something about needing to put that woman in the oven. And of course it was joking, but it sounds of course naturally really bad if you just type it and say that okay, the city councilman said this about the city councilman said that the former cultural minister Suvi Lindén is a liptard whore and should be fried in an oven. So it sounds bad when you hear it like that.
Well, these are just suggestions. They're not orders yet. But yeah, the next one, we need to end this by 10:30, so we have 25 minutes about.
Yeah, and I think we have around 5 to 7 minutes per topic if we take this. But you could show that to our audience. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because we were talking about the free booze in Suomi 100, Finland 100. They should have served this beverage, which is produced by Puolustuslaitos Beverages.
So it's Defense Force.
Yeah, this is Homeland Security. It says that was it during the war that every soldier got 4 ounces of this beverage.
Yeah, because it was Marshal Mannerheim's birthday. He ordered this pretty cheap booze from the military, and all military personnel got free shots on his birthday. And Marshal Mannerheim was, of course, the leader of the Finnish army and the president of Finland later.
It's funny how it looks. It's like from the Soviet Union. It's very blunt. There's no marketing. There's nothing. It's just.
Yeah, and it's called cut cognac, and the name is very famous in Finland because it was also mentioned in a book about the war called The Unknown Soldier. And in that book, the soldiers drink this, and I think it's made of mixing booze and cognac. So it's sort of a poor man's cognac. Pretty strong, but I don't think the flavor is the best possible.
No, it's good. It's 38%.
Yeah. But one thing we should mention is the election in Germany and Austria, because that was a big win for nationalism.
Yeah, the Austrian election happened on October 15th, and we were traveling back from Holland, so we couldn't follow it because we have on our Finnish live streams, we have the habit of following pretty much any country's elections. The last one we followed was Somaliland's election. But we also followed, we did follow the Austrian presidential election, but not the latest election that happened in October. And I will just look it up. And the German election we also followed. When did that happen? I'm not 100% sure. Was it on this channel or the other? I think it was on the other. But yeah, anyhow, the German election, AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, they got position 3, which is, well, could be better, but not so bad, seeing that these changes happen pretty slowly. We also followed the US election, the Dutch election, and anymore. But I'll just show these. When was it? Here's the US election that we followed. It was an 8-hour stream, which is the maximum. Here's the Austrian presidential election. Here is probably the Dutch, and so on.
But anyway, both these elections were clear signs that nationalism is gaining momentum. And of course, all countries have their own specific circumstances. So you cannot really assume too much of the general situation by what's happening in one country, and vice versa, that you cannot really expect a certain result in one country because the general trend is something. But it was nice to see nationalists take so big wins. First of all, Wilders' Freedom Party got
second.
bigger, and Marine Le Pen's party got bigger. AfD rose to parliament, got to be the third biggest party in Germany. And then in Austria, the win was basically a double, because first of all, there was this huge right-wing victory between the Conservative Party and the far-right party. And then to top it all off, the Greens didn't get to parliament at all.
Yeah, they fell out.
So imagine this party that has the president. They won the presidential election. Now didn't get enough votes to even stay in the parliament, to retain their seats. So they have gone massively unpopular. That's like how you ruin a party's supporting.
Yeah, and well, the political systems are such that it's very difficult to enter. It is made in a way that you, as a challenger, you might get in, but you still stay in the minority, and it's but it is changing. It is changing, and as we previously said, that it would be interesting that all these YouTubers just enter the elections and remove the votes from the others and get them for themselves.
Yeah.
And that way they get more media attention, and well, maybe not change anything, but still you can criticize better if you are inside. And that's yeah, there's what low keys. How do I donate money to you guys?
Yeah, I responded there. So we have a Patreon and a PayPal, and the links to them are on the channel front page.
Yeah, if you don't want to pay Google there, because in Finland Google takes like 44%. So
not just Google, part of it goes to, half of it goes to Google, around half to taxes.
Yeah. So this is our Patreon currently, or is it this one, or do you have an English one?
Yeah, I have, but it really doesn't matter in practice which one people use.
So this is our Patreon current. We have 10 patrons.
Yeah, and if somebody was wondering what the asyl means, it's an abbreviation for the name of our political list in the and our group in the city council. So it's Aito Suomalainen Yhteislista, which means the genuine Finnish list. And then if you abbreviate it, it becomes asyl, which is pretty funny because asyl is Swedish for asylum.
Yeah, it's an acronym and so on.
And one thing the next thing on our list is Sweden says welcome and the 55 invaders who escaped Finland.
Yeah, so when was this? This was in September.
I think it was September.
September the 4th or 5th. I'm not sure. And we heard that some asylum seekers in Finland wanted to protest against the asylum policy in Finland because they had gotten many rejections in their applications. One might ask why many, because if your first application is rejected, you can appeal on it, then you can re-appeal on it, and if all else fails, just put a new one. So
there was, for example, one midget from Iraq, like a real midget, a guy who was like tall enough to reach my waist, and he told us that he had received 4 negative asylum decisions. So most likely he has put in one application, got a negative, made 2 appeals on it, received a negative on both of those, then put in a third.
Guys, this guy has asylum. No, no, please, no. I need asylum. No, and so on, and 4 times in a row.
And our viewers were very entertained by the 4 a negative decision midget, and they a lot of people felt sorry for him and said, okay, why didn't they just give that midget the asylum? It's unlikely that he'll blow anything up or stab anyone. And some people told us that we should have like taken him home with us, and now that it's Christmas, I really think that we should have taken the midget with us, because it would be so funny to dress him in like elf clothing. We could take him on our live streams.
He wouldn't do no Scania or truck of peace attacks. He cannot ride a. And if he blows up, no, but it's there'll just be a hole on the ground, but nobody will notice.
One of our viewers is saying, they said you must be this tall.
You must be this tall to apply for asylum. Go home. But so they were in Tornio, which is on the border, Finland and Sweden, about 80 miles from here. And they were protesting at the border, and we went there to make a live stream. There was lots of media, the Finnish media, the Swedish media, and we were also there. And I was probably the first to interview the protest leader. And he told me that, yeah, I've been told that if we go to Sweden, the police will catch us. I said, no, that's wrong. It is very safe to go there. Just go to Sweden. Sweden is much better.
And then we double checked from the Swedish police, like, are you going to arrest these guys if these guys cross to Sweden? And they were like, no. Then we went back to the guys, and Junes explained to them, yeah, I checked with the cops. They really won't arrest you, so you should go back to Sweden.
Yeah, and because first of all, there's a language barrier, and also there's lots of misinformation that is being spread by the open borders activists, that they, for some reason, they don't want these cultural enrichers to leave our country to go to Sweden. But I checked the facts from both police officers, from Finland, from Sweden, from everybody. I said, if they go to Sweden, it's okay. Yes. Reluctantly, they said yes. The media was just doing their media shit, but we went there and we encouraged them to go. It is, I'm not saying this for sure, but it's probable that if we hadn't been there, they wouldn't have left Finland, and they did leave. And in addition to this, we had made a sign saying Sweden says welcome, and here is our friend that is holding it. And
it was really funny because all the people in there who were Finnish wanted these migrants to get out. So there were like no supporters, no multiculturalists in there, because it was Lapland, and over here in the north, not that many people are multiculturalists. So all people were against these asylum seekers. They were shouting things at them. Why aren't you going already? Why did you lie to us? You should go.
And so that is what we noticed there. But when they had left, the Swedish immigration service had taken them with a bus, and on that bus they used Facebook, and this is what they published. And I used Google Translate, and this Arabic language says that on the left are evil Finns. For example, this woman is holding a sign that we don't want Islam, ban mosques, and so on. So they are racist Finns and so on. But here on the right side, there is a very friendly Swede that is saying Sweden says welcome. But the guy on the right is not a Swede, he's our friend. Just go to Sweden.
Yeah, and it was so funny because all the mainstream media reporters who were there, they made the same mistake too. And they were so desperate to find some multiculturalists to talk to. They saw all these Finns, but all they were against the asylum seekers. And then they spot our friend. And even though he looks like that, like you can tell that that's not a multiculturalist leftist face in there. He was holding that sign, Sweden says welcome, #just do it. So the media was so eager to talk to him so that they would get some sort of a multiculturalist comment for their news pieces. And then they went to talk to Tuukka, and of course they started talking to him in Swedish because they assumed him to be a Swedish leftist. And then Tuukka simply says in Finnish, "No, I don't speak Swedish." And then they get a bit like baffled and, "Yeah, but aren't you Swedish?" "No, I'm not, I'm Finnish." "Yeah, but why are you like holding this sign? Like, how can you hold that sign when you're not even Swedish? That Sweden says welcome." "Yeah, because I'm a Finn and I want them to get out of here." And it was so funny to see the expressions on the mainstream media reporters' faces because they suddenly realized that they had led a hardline nationalist on their broadcasts.
Yeah, on live Swedish TV.
Yeah, and on live Finnish TV too. So it was hilarious to see how the panic they got. And this one Finnish mainstream media reporter asked, "Well, whose interest are you like interested in? Is it the asylum seekers or the Finns?" "Only the Finns," he replied.
Yeah,
so he was very nationalist, very straightforward, and it was so hilarious.
Yeah, you can watch that live stream. It's on the other channel, Monokulttuuri FM. It is mostly in Finnish, but I also translate in English many parts. You can find the midget on that stream. You can find the Swedish journalist, and I was standing next to her, and when she had finished her interview, I asked her questions. "Why are you hating this guy?" And she was, and at the end I said, "What are you, a retard?" And she just, "Yeah, maybe." "Yeah, it shows, and I can tell you are. Go home." And she left, and we got her microphone because.
But the TV4 woman had forgotten her microphone windshield in the in the ladies' room of the shopping mall nearby. And I saw it and I knew it was destiny. I need to have that microphone windshield. And I got it. And of course, my friends were really excited when I told them, "Okay, I have a souvenir that's greater than anything this far."
Yeah, we are now official fake news media.
We are now live on TV4.
How would you comment this? We have only 5 minutes left on this stream. So.
Yeah, but let's take 10 more minutes. I don't think we'll be late.
Okay, but yeah, we need to hop on the bus to the center.
To stop fooling around.
Yeah. So this microphone madness. Yeah, the next point is I went to France in May to live stream the French election, and during that trip I did many live streams from Belgium, Holland, lots of places. Brussels was an interesting place where our car broke down in Brussels, and we had to sleep one night in Molenbeek in the car. And well, there's an interesting live stream also from there. It's unfortunately it's on in Finnish and also mixed with French because the locals spoke French. And well, because of our car breakdown, we got late to the Marine Le Pen's election. And well, what more? What would you add to this?
Well, I wasn't on that trip. Junes went there with a couple of friends of ours. I thought the long trip in a car might be too much for my back, and I thought it would be fun for Junes to sometimes just go there with friends, because we usually do everything together, and it's just not healthy for men to spend all the time with their girlfriends. And I don't know, is there anything else? Well, you saw these very rich neighborhoods like Molenbeek, and but do you have anything else on them?
Yeah, Molenbeek, you could. That's the place where the Paris attack guys were hiding, and we were there, and it was no. Do not try that at home. It's no. Do not turn your country into Molenbeek. It's no.
Yeah,
Just say no.
yeah, just say no. And we still have a couple of very fun things to go through. And the first thing is Dance for Humanity.
There's a Blue One
Oh.
Black who put €5 of super chat saying best wishes in New Year from Ireland.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I've never been to Ireland. It's yeah, it's a mystery island for me.
And yeah, but we really need to get this wrapped up so that we won't be late for the bus. So let's move on to the Dance for Humanity. So this was a leftist event. I think it was in April. And
was it?
Yeah, I think it was April.
Okay.
And the leftists were holding a Dance for Humanity, which was supposed to be for human rights. But of course, you know that when it's these leftist skanks holding it, it must be about the asylum seekers. And we went wrong. Of course, it was only about the asylum seekers. All signs we saw in there were like right to live and Somalia is not safe. And
yeah, and it was probably because of at that time there was one explosion in Kabul, Afghanistan, and one explosion in Baghdad, Iraq, and so they were using those isolated cases to say that Finland cannot deport anybody to Afghanistan or Iraq because there was a bomb. There's bombs in Tampere, there are bombs in Malmö, Sweden, there are bombs everywhere. So that's not an argument. So we went there to live stream it as always, but we had also made signs, and these are the signs that we.
Yeah, because we read the info page for their event, and it said bring your own instruments or some outfit or signs. And we thought, like, who are we to break the rules of their event? Of course, we have to take signs if they want us to take signs there.
Yeah, and here Swan's sign says that a Scania attack lasts only for a moment, but the scars of racism are forever. They last forever. And on my sign, I'm wearing, by the way, the same glasses as Kraut and T, but I'm in no way affiliated to Kraut. Which the sign says that disco slapping is a human right. Baghdad is almost as dangerous as Malmö, Sweden. Without multiculturalism, we wouldn't know what sushi tastes like, and learn to swim. Hashtag isolated case. Hashtag pray for Oulu, which is our hometown, and hashtag Väinämöinen, which is a mythological figure in the Finnish mythology.
And it was really funny to see people's expressions, especially to that sign of mine, because I just walked there. I tried to like look normal. I had a wide smile on my face, and the people in the restaurants we walked past, they like leaned over to the windows to like double check my sign, and you could tell them in their faces that is she for real? Am I really holding that sign?
Was this before we won or after we won the election? I cannot remember.
I'm not sure, actually. It was around the same time. Maybe it was after.
I think it must be after, because I got.
Yeah, and it's so. Look at the weather. It's so nice. It was so cold when we started campaigning, so it must be afterwards.
Yeah. So it was after. And of course, as I said, we were streaming it. It's this one.
Yeah, and there actually came a lot of drama from that one, because Junes is now under investigation for possible agitation against the minority or hate incitement against the minority because of those signs. And for some reason, he is also investigated for my sign too, even though he at no point even held that sign. So they said that in those signs, the text in my sign, which goes, Scania only hits you for a moment, but the scars of racism are forever, that it degrades the victims of the Stockholm truck attack. And that's not what it means. And even if it did mean that, it wouldn't be a crime, because those aren't the protected class in the law. And in Junes's sign, there is a phrase, learn how to swim. And that simply is a quote from a leftist politician who said that if you complain about, or stop complaining about the tidal wave of Islam and learn how to swim. But the cops took it as if he was trying to degrade the refugees who drown in the Mediterranean, even though it has nothing to do with them. And even if it did, yet again, even if it meant those people, it still wouldn't be a crime. It would be maybe a bit rude, but not a crime.
Yeah, but we there's one guy saying that Tina was yesterday on Red Eyes TV.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I have edited that part and subtitled it in Finnish. I will be publishing it probably tomorrow. We are leaving to the city center. We will have another live stream today on Tuonejoutsen. It will be in Finnish, but if you are interested, you can still follow it. And if I notice that there are many English-speaking guys, we can always talk in English also. So this is the channel that this is Swan's Finnish-speaking channel, and we will be streaming live there in about an hour. So we must get ready for the bus. There was maybe another.
Yeah, there was one thing more, which is the bark boat.
The bark boat.
And it was funny because with the tidal wave of migrants, a lot of different so-called charity projects popped up in Finland that were supposed to help the migrants. And of course, all of them work with taxpayer money. They provide no real services to anyone, not even the migrants. They are simply a way to mooch off the taxpayer for these pretend do-gooders. And one of the most ridiculous ones I have seen this far, which really made a lot of waves in Finland because it was so hilarious, was the bark boat incident. And I have a video of that in my this channel, this English-speaking channel too. And I think it was called "Migrants Reinvent the Bark Boat." And this man called Riku Rantala, who is on a Finnish TV show called Mad Ventures, and it's also somewhat known outside of Finland too, had started a project called Startup Refugees. And it was supposed to be a project helping refugees or migrants to start their own businesses and get employed. They got 150,000 euros of taxpayer money. And on this morning show, on the public broadcasting news, this man Rantala came to show what he had to show for his project and the 150,000 euros of taxpayer money. I think it was around 2 minutes or something that he shows the boat. Yeah, you can.
Aikamoinen määrä on porukkaa ollut liikkeellä. Useita satoja työllistymismahdollisuuksia ollaan saatu tätä verkostolla aikaa.
He tries to explain all these interesting things they have done when there really is zero accomplishment from his organization. Just look at the face of the interviewer. Like, this is it. We got 150,000 euros of taxpayer money for our project to employ the refugees. What we have to show for it is a bark boat. And it's not even a cool bark boat. I don't understand. I don't know how cool bark boats can get, but that's not a cool bark boat. That's like that looks exactly like the ones kids make. So that's what they got the money for. And this guy was so furious when everyone started laughing at him. It became a big phenomenon in Finland. Everybody was making remixes of this video. Everybody was making bark boat memes. It was so funny, and this guy was so angry that people mocked his project, and he tried to be like, well, it's not just that one boat that we did. We also have this ridiculously ugly necklace we made these refugees do, and it only made things worse. But it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and they got 150 euros last year, and this year they are asking for 180,000.
Yeah, 1,000, not 150.
Yeah, 150,000. Yeah, sorry. And okay, but we must end this stream now. And
I would like to read the comments, but we simply don't have time for it. So maybe in the next live stream, we make sure we have more time so we can read the comments.
One asks how many of these were sold. Maybe 8. Nobody knows. But yes, sorry to end this shortly, but we need to go because we will miss the last bus. And
yeah.
But in less than 1 hour, we will be on the other channel live streaming with.
So follow that Tuone Joutsen channel.
Yeah. Okay,
so. But okay, let's end so we won't be late.
Hit like and subscribe, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.